well over 60% of web users are accessing the web on mobile devices. While the best website creators keep this in mind, they may not be considering mobile users who also have a disability. Some 25% of visitors to the most popular websites claim at least one disability. Putting these stats together, there is a great need to ensure that websites are accommodating special needs folks. The product of an engineer father and painter mother, Ron Amick misspent most of his youth making short films and video, then labored in the salt mines of the Hollywood movie machine long enough to find his big break at Disney, where he made no films but found a new love in web development. A couple of decades and several creative agencies later, he handcrafts web and mobile products and content for a variety of clients, mostly in the entertainment industry, mostly by referral, ever questioning or questing for more knowledge and new skills. Life is a journey, says Amick, and I am a journeyman. At this point, I'd like to invite everyone to mute their microphones and enjoy the presentation. Ron, thank you so much for being our presenter, and the time is now yours.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here. Let me share my screen. Remembering to share sound as well. Um, so you already know what WordPress meetup you're at. And you know my name, Ron Amick, and you also know that I'm the product of an inventor father and a painter mother with a filmmaking background and post-production management in the movie industry. I had a completely second career that started about 28 years ago while working in corporate Disney, and that was web development, um, and that is web development. And I'm happy to share a little bit of what I've lately learned, way late in the game, about accessibility for mobile devices. Um, Mobile devices are actually, let me go to this screen here. What's this one? This is a good one. Mobile devices are not merely phones, as we know now. Today, there are many, many small screens all around us, watches and refrigerators and car displays and TVs and so forth. And these all require a little attention to make them effective for folks with disabilities of many kinds. Um, some what I'm actually not a super expert. I'm still learning, and I intend to keep learning.
Ron, it looks like you got muted.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Perfect.
I know what happened. I was trying to move the control bar out of the way. Uh, I'm not a super expert, but I'm learning all the time, and I'm happy to continue learning in particular about accessibility because it does affect a huge portion of any audience, and it's foolish. I mean, it's immoral on one sense to make websites and web devices difficult to use for people with disabilities, but it's also foolish from a sheerly business point of view or a popularity point of view because you're just leaving behind 20 to 25% of potential visitors. Um, and what you're seeing here is a very small portion of what's called the Introduction to Web Accessibility, which is a free course that is given by that's created by the W3C. They're of course, the organization that defines whoa, 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 that defines the whole web. Um, and this course is excellent. It's it's being hosted on EDX, and it's free. However, if you want a certificate like you're seeing on the screen now, you have to pay $90 for that, or maybe it's more now. I'm not sure. It took me well over a year to finish this course, mainly because I did it in really small bites. But I strongly recommend it, and I'm going to put some links for it and other things in the chat right now. Let's see. So that's an intro to web accessibility. Um, so the first thing, well, I can go through these real quickly. The screen size is obvious. It's a small screen, so you know, in the early days of the web of websites, screen type typography was not even adjusted, so it was just microscopic on small screens. It didn't get larger. Um, these days, you can a a best practice for web development is to stop using fixed sizes for many things, including text, such as PX pixels, and use relational ones, which are EM and REM, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Um, those are going to adjust themselves when the screen size itself adjusts, and so that's kind of an important thing. Touch targets means um, how big is your finger when you touch something, and is the target, you know, big enough to accommodate the average finger, basically, and such like that. Um, if they're too small, it's not going to happen very easily. Responsive design is what I was just alluding to with regard to typography, but of course it also is um, a much larger subject, um, which is, these days we developers and designers in web should not be overly concerned about representing the design of the website exactly the same on desktop devices as on mobile, or the other way around. Um, Rather, the mobile experience needs to be a part, on its own, as effective as possible. And that's what responsive design does. It changes layouts, makes things bigger, you can, it deletes some items, it changes the order of them on the page, things like that, that make it a more meaningful online experience. Pardon me. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that. Assistive technologies include uh, screen readers, which of course blind folks use, but many other folks use as well, that actually read the website. Um, and one that's, since iPhone is probably one of the most popular devices, I'm going to focus mostly on iPhone for mobile. Um, iPhone and all Apple devices come with a a screen reader called VoiceOver, and it's a native screen reader, and I'm going to show you what it looks like to use that on a phone, and some other tricks. Um, Connectivity just means, if you have pages that are trying to take too much bandwidth, some smaller devices can't keep up, and so that's I'm not going to delve into that much. Let me back up here. I wanted to find out from users here, and you can put it in the chat, what WordPress themes they are currently using, or what 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 builders they may use. I myself spent many years using Divi before, while I was ignorant of accessibility, the whole subject of accessibility. Today, I mostly use Generate Press and Bricks Builder. Some other themes that my colleagues say are worth considering for accessibility. Oh, Bricks Builder is being used by I'm not sure who that is. Thank you. Spectra One is your theme, Gerald. Okay, thank you. So, um, and Etch is something that's in development by Kevin Geary, um, who you may have heard of. He's the developer of a free course called Page Builders 101, which I will put the link to. If you haven't heard of this, no page builder, says Jared. Okay. Um, this course, which also is free, it's just on YouTube, is really, really, really recommended for anyone of any experience level, and I mean any experience level, because and it's not just about page builders. It's a great primer in web development, web design, um, from the ground up, and very, very succinctly presented. Kevin is using Bricks Builder in the course, but you don't have to. It's worth watching, worth going through in its entirety, regardless of your experience level. Um, like I said, I've been doing this for 28 years, and when I watch that course, I go, well, I didn't have that right, and I didn't know about that, and because most people working in web, well, most of my colleagues, I should say, and many people in the WordPress community are self-taught, and that's fine. But this is the first time I've seen a a course that really explained everything, and that's I can't recommend it enough. Anyway, getting back to this course, I'm going to show you a demo by Anthony Vasquez. Anthony Vasquez is a blind communication specialist at Nobility, which is an Austin-based accessibility organization that's been around for about 25 years, I believe. Um, and they offer services. You can actually hire them to evaluate a website or to test a website. And they have people with disabilities, such as Anthony Vasquez, um, who is blind. And this piece that I'm going to show you is from the course, the intro to web accessibility course. So take a look at this, and it's self-explanatory. Let me know once I start it. Let me know if you cannot hear it. It's not reacting to my commands here. Let me reload this. So this is from module 2 in the introduction, the free course I've been talking about, the other free course I've been talking about. Hmm. Okay, that's not letting me go to full screen, and I'm not sure why. Maybe if
My
I
name is Anthony Vasquez, and here I will show you how I use a screen reader to navigate a mobile app on iOS.
can everyone hear this and
Yep,
see it?
sounds good.
You can,
Yeah.
and you can see it well enough. I tried to make it full screen, but it's not letting me.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. Well, you say that now, but look how small his the little phone is on. Anyway, he's got an iPhone, and he shows how he reads websites on a phone using VoiceOver, which is, as I said, is a iPhone native app. So here goes.
I'm going to be covering
You
aspects
could
of
zoom
the
in.
experience, including exploring by touch, swipe gestures, the rotor, heading navigation, and focus order. So here we have a weather app open, and one way to get an idea of what's on the screen is to just touch around the screen and listen for audio feedback.
Currently, partly cloudy, 54 degrees, feels 54 degrees.
And if I move my finger down a bit more and then touch,
Next hour, no precipitation.
further down,
11 p.m., 51 degrees.
so that's one way. I can also swipe left and right with one finger to move from previous to next elements on this screen. So for example, from here, if I were to swipe left, you hear the previous entry.
9 p.m., mostly cloudy, 53 degrees.
If I swipe again,
Now, partly cloudy, 54 degrees.
swiping right will move down one element, or to the next element.
9 p.m., mostly cloudy, 53 degrees.
So I'm stopping that just for a second. So you can see that this is one way that um, blind folks and others with impaired vision can navigate just by swiping um, back and forth. And what they're reading is obviously that it's they actually are not necessarily reading what's on the screen, but they're reading the code that makes the screen, and they're interpreting that. That's how screen readers work. They actually are reading the HTML behind the page. Anyway, I'll shut up and keep going here.
So both ways have their advantages and disadvantages. Exploring by touch, if you know the layout of your screen already, which buttons you want to go to, is quite efficient. Moving, swiping left and right is helpful when it's your first time exploring a new screen, because you get an idea of all the focusable elements on the screen. Now, another way to change ways of exploring a page or a screen on an app is to use the rotor. So if I were to set my rotor to headings, you'll be able to explore by headings. There's quite an interesting gesture actually. You need to take two fingers and rotate them clockwise or counterclockwise, kind of like if you're turning a knob or a dial. So I'll do that now.
Language, characters, words, headings.
There we are at headings. And if I swipe up, I will move to the previous heading.
Heading not found.
If I swipe down, I will move to the next heading. Let's see.
Heading not found.
Okay, so there are no headings on this screen, which is unfortunate, because if there were, you could structure the information in a way that'd be easier to get to.
So if you're following, he's got VoiceOver turned on, which you can find in settings on any iPhone, and he's using two fingers to spin this imaginary dial, which actually now includes more options than he had available to him at the time that this was recorded. And then since he chose headings, he then is swiping down to go from heading to heading, but unfortunately on this page there are no headings, which is another cry for the importance of good headings. Headings usually are announced or created with the H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6 tags in the HTML, but there are other ways to make uh, headings. Anyway, I'll continue here.
Moving among headings, much like you would on a web page. Now, it's important again to know that these swipe gestures, move from focusable element to focusable element, but they need to be labeled as such. So near the top of this page is an element.
Currently, partly cloudy, 54 degrees, feels 54 degrees.
but it's neither labeled as a button nor a link, so I don't know what it is. I'm left to guess whether double tapping it will do anything. Let's find out. Ah,
Current conditions.
so now we're on a new screen. The screen reader just said current conditions, and let's swipe right.
Temperature 54 degrees. Wind 3 miles per hour WSW.
So these same gestures from before can be used.
So I'm just stopped it again because he opened what's called a modal, a floating window, floating temporary window that effectively becomes another page. And he to him though it was an entirely new page, which it kind of is. Um, One thing to keep in mind on if you make pop-ups in your website is to ensure that they do not trap someone on them and that there's a way to exit them. You can see there's a done button at the bottom here, and that's good. So anyway, I'll continue.
Used here. Now an example of a focusable element is near the bottom.
Done. Button.
There's a button labeled done. If I double tap it, we will go to the previous screen.
Empty list. Search locations. Button.
Well, I hope that this has been helpful in giving you a better understanding about my experience with mobile apps, how I use Explore by Touch, how I use gestures, the rotor, heading navigation, and the importance of focusable elements and focus order.
So he's talking about focusable elements. That's something that obviously will help him, but also helps folks who, for some reason, cannot use a mouse because focusable elements are what what you can illuminate using keyboard. Let me go to a site here. So on this site, for instance, if I reload this page and I just merely press my tab key, you see that there is something that came up on the upper left-hand corner called skip to content. And if I were to hit enter on that, it would jump past the navigation. And now if I hit tab again, it goes to the next link available and you see it highlights it. It makes it focusable. So any link on the page will become available by someone that doesn't have any other way to navigate. I'm using Shift tab to go backwards on the same page. So that's a really quick overview of VoiceOver. Let me see if I can um, stop sharing and share my screen from, let's see, stop share. Duh. Okay. Okay, I'm also logged in with my alter ego um, on an iPhone. And let me see if I can share its screen. I tried this once before and it didn't work, but unable to access camera. Okay. I have to set some settings first. 1 second. Bear with me. Okay, so that probably logged me off. All right, well, I'll try to get this on in a second. 1 second here, please. Okay. Going to reload. Sorry about this. This kind of thing only happens when you do live demonstrations. I'm admitting myself back into. Okay, try this again. There we go. Okay, so if I go to settings on my phone, you can't see it. It's not showing up, is it? It's just, oh, I see. It's just only sharing my camera. Duh. All right, I'm gonna have to try this some other time. This is a little harder than I thought. But the idea is I can show you my phone. Um, if I go into settings and if I'm at the top, normally, if, one second. Okay, if you come up on a screen that shows you your name. If you just go down a little bit, you'll see accessibility right away, which is right. You'll see it. I won't. Okay, accessibility is right there. And you probably can't see that too well. Anyway, very top choice is voiceover, and it's presently off. So if I turn that on, then it tells me that it's talking to me now, and it tells me that it's on. So and now what I'm trying to do is switch to a web page. You have to double click to uh, to open a link. Um, yeah, well, that's not the one I want. Okay, so here's a website. Sorry that took so long. Here's a website that I'm on, and I'm going to try using the two finger rotor. So I'm just using two fingers, and then you probably can't hear what it's saying, but it's there's characters at the top, edit, form controls, links, headings, and one more. Containers. Okay. So if I choose containers, let's see what that does when I navigate the site. It says Larry Kuntz menu button. That's the name of the artist here. Featured album. Jazz that speaks to you. Let me make this louder.
Screenshot button. Album cover shows David Roydstein, Larry Kuntz, announcing elite guitarist online instruction. Heading level 2.
So you get the idea. There's a lot of ways to use it.
Jazz that speaks to you. Album cover shows David Roydstein at the piano with announcing elite guitarist online instruction. Heading level 2.
Anyway, so I won't bother you with more of that. It wasn't the demo that I was hoping it would be. Let me go back to my sharing. So next I want to just show you some code, assuming everyone's still awake. And um, first I'll show you uh, generate press if I can find it. Let's see, where did I put it? All right, press A, put where?
Skip to content. In page link.
Okay,
Web
go away.
page loaded.
I have to turn off voice over or it's going to keep talking to me. Okay, let's see now. Yeah, this will work. So I'm just going to a page in the site that I showed you a minute ago with the sports car, the racing car. Um, so this page here. So in this page, you see that there is text flowing around an image. Um, and that's fine for a nice big web page. But if I mimic a small website, what happens? I'm going to turn on mobile view and just widen it out a little bit. Turn this to responsive. So this is the view you saw a minute ago, but when the screen gets smaller, I've told it to, stop trying to fit that text on the side and instead go to this view with 100% width on the image and the text below it. So that's an example right there of a relational, or I'm sorry, responsive change, a responsive design change. And how did I do that? In Generate Press, um, here's the layout for desktop. And what you can do is you can choose the image, and over on the right side here, I'm not sure you can see that, are three little tabs and they say desktop. Well, show options for all devices is what it says, but it's for desktop, and the middle one's for tablet, and the little one is for mobile or smaller. So what I've done is on desktop, this image's width I have set to 380 pixels, which is necessary in order to make the text flow around it. But when you switch to mobile view, it's 100%, set to 100% width. So that's just one very simple example. Just doing that made what I showed you possible, made it happen. In breaks, there actually are more views than that. There's any number of um, breakpoints is what the bricks people call them. So this is, you're looking at desktop here, and it says desktop base breakpoint. Tablet means less than or equal to 991 pixels. That's what it's set to now. Um, tablet in landscape mode, uh, less than or equal to 767 pixels. And mobile portrait was what we most often use. I'm sorry, this is mobile, not tablet. Mobile landscape. Mobile portrait is the one that's the trickiest, which is currently set at less than or equal to 478 pixels. So some things on this page also needed to be changed. Some things are stacked here that are not stacked here. So and what I've done is told it the order of the stacking to some in some cases having to change what's called order. so that the image will precede the text. Whereas in desktop view, it's just next to it, beside it. So those are two very quick relational examples. And I'm going to leave it there since we're at 3:45 already and leave some time for questions. And I know this is very disjointed, but I hope that it was useful in some other ways. I'm going to put some more links, one's for nobility and one's for WCAG, which is the body that makes the guidelines. Sorry, I didn't hit enter on that when I put the page builders link in. Now I have. I need to go to Computers 101. So here's three links in a row, which may be known to some of you, or um, and if you go to WCAG guidelines, you'll see how intense it is. I mean, it's a whole lot to take on. It's a whole bunch of guidelines on many aspects, and one should never feel bad if um, they are not able to instantly absorb all those, and that's what that course is for. This course explains, it says that it knows it's daunting, and let's first just look at some people out there using the web and and see how they're using it, and go slowly into it. And you can go at your own pace with this course, so I recommend it. If you want to reach me, I'm available here, and if anybody wants, for some reason, a PDF of this slideshow, such as it is, let me know. Contact me and I'll send it to you.